Hey everybody, Captain B-Nard here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Pokemon Sun and Moon, the 7th generation of the Pokemon video game series. We're a little less than 2 months into the release of the game. I've played it extensively, beat it, and I'd like to share my opinion on it with all of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down a list of what I consider to be the major takeaways from the game, and I'm going to talk about whether I think they're positive or negative, not only to the game, but also to the franchise as a whole. So I want to start off by talking about the one thing that's always been the biggest takeaway from every generation, in my opinion, and that is the new Pokemon released in that generation. So in Gen 7, we got a total of 81 new Pokemon added to the National Pokédex if you count everything, including the event legendaries we're not supposed to know about yet. Thank you, hackers. But that's a relatively small generation compared to the generations of old, and that in and of itself I think is a positive thing, because after Gen 7 we have a total of 802 different Pokemon in the National Pokédex. That's a lot of freaking Pokemon. At this point in the game, after 20 plus years, we definitely don't need quantity when it comes to new Pokemon. We just need quality. And I think the last couple generations, we've definitely been getting that. If you look at the new Pokemon we got, pretty much everything, the starters, the regular Pokédex entries, the legendaries, the Tapus, the Ultra Beasts, pretty much all of it is very well done. I think that's another huge plus for the game. There were a lot of new type combinations, interesting new designs, that kind of thing. So I am a big fan of the new Pokemon that we got in Gen 7 overall. Another thing I think was another big sticking point for this generation was the introduction of the Alola forms, which are basically just a bunch of alternate forms for a whole bunch of Gen 1 Pokemon. Now, I kind of have mixed feelings about this because, on the one hand, I like the idea that they're trying to bring relevance and attention back to old forgotten Pokemon. At the same time, I also think they came out with quite a few good designs and cool type combinations for the Alolan forms. But on the downside, they did come out with quite a few bad type combinations and also some pretty bad character designs too for some of those forms. And in addition, the whole alternate form idea is not usually something I'm a big fan of, especially when it comes to Gen 1 Pokemon, because I'm really an old school Pokemon fan. Anything that significantly changes something of the generation of old is not usually something I'm a big fan of. So I kind of have mixed feelings about the whole Alolan form idea as it is. But, it is what it is. It's not terrible as a whole. It has its good points and bad points, but what can you do? Moving on, another big plus I thought the game had was the pretty big change they made to the campaign mode or the story mode in the game. Up until this point, the previous 6 generations pretty much followed the exact same formula for the story mode in the game, and that was you had your 8 gyms, you had your Elite Four, your champion, childhood friends, rival, Pokemon professor named after a tree, etc. No father, except for in Generation 3. But You also had the legendary, your version legendary that you captured after the 7th gym, usually, except for Gen 5. Overall, it was pretty much the same chemistry. Oh, I forgot to mention Villainous Team 2, Go Team Skull. Yeah. Overall, those games followed the same pattern. In Gen 7, we got something completely different with the introduction of the Island Trial. So they threw the gym system out the window and they focused on the Island Trial, which was based on the whole Z Crystal thing, where you actually battled against Pokemon rather than gyms or trainers. You had to complete puzzles first to even get to that point sometimes. It was really, really different, and personally, I thought that was a plus, and I actually liked it a lot because Pokemon fans have been clamoring for something new for quite some time now as far as the games go. I think this really delivered on that in a big way. And quite honestly, I was actually very skeptical of this at first when I read it on paper. But again, like I said, after having played the game extensively, I really think that it was a big plus what they did with the story mode. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, so the only other really big thing I have to say as far as the game goes, and this one is going to be a negative, is going to be the way they changed the competitive play and the way they actually made it quite a bit harder to play competitively. And what I mean by that is, um, for starters, super training. In Gen 6, we got super training, so that allowed you to EV train your Pokemon relatively easily within a matter of 30 minutes to an hour. You could completely EV train a Pokemon and have it ready to go for battle. Unfortunately, in Gen 7, they decided to throw that out the window completely, so we have to go back to the old fashioned way of doing things with the items and the knocking out X amount of Pokemon in the wild, which is very tedious. So I really don't like that at all. Um, so as far as breeding goes, in the Pokemon daycare, your Pokemon no longer level up in the Pokemon daycare, which is a pretty big problem because of the introduction of another element to the training, which is hyper training. And to do that, your Pokemon have to be level 100. So going back to Gen 6, there was actually a little cheat you could do where you could stick your Pokemon in the daycare and you could travel to the big city that was the circle in the middle of the map, and you could basically jam something in the stick of the DS to the point where you could just leave it set there and you could go around in circles on your bicycle, and after a day you would have a couple of level 100 Pokemon in the daycare. But like I said, not the case anymore, with Pokemon no longer leveling up in the daycare. So the hyper training is kind of useless in my opinion in and of itself. Aside from the fact that you need incredibly rare bottle caps to even do it, so kind of not worth it in my opinion. Also, back to the breeding though, you can't even talk to the IV checker in this game without having hatched at least 20 eggs first, which is also kind of an inconvenience. Although I will say, on the positive side, once you talk to him, you can actually just check the IVs from the PC from that point forward, rather than having to fly to the IV checker every time, which is a positive, but still not crazy about the whole having to hatch 20 eggs thing before you can even talk to him. Another big disadvantage here is the fact that a lot of the items that you would like to use in competitive play are not picked up for free throughout the course of the story mode like they have been in previous generations, but instead you have to go through either the Battle Royale Dome or the Battle Tree and win a whole ton of battles in order to get enough BP to get these items. So all these things just kind of add up to it being much more inconvenient and difficult to play the game competitively than it used to be, which of course I'm going to view as a big negative because I am a big competitive player. That's what this channel is founded on. So I really don't like that at all. But I will say it is kind of a small price to pay in the grand scheme of the game. Other than that, I think the game is very good, very solid, and very fun. So that's pretty much it for my opinion. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new videos in the future. Hopefully I will be rolling out that Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle series for you guys really soon. I am working on my team right now, so I will have that to you as soon as I can. So that's it, and we will see you next time.